Well guys, I'm at home in Mallorca and we've got a storm going on today. According to Windy, we're going to have 47 kilometre gusts of wind, and I've never actually tested my Hubba Hubba in storm conditions. So I'm out here now. There's lots of videos on the YouTube about the Hubba Hubba in general. I haven't seen many to see how it performs in the wind and the stormy, rainy conditions. So I'm going to set it up and let's see how we get on. I'm not going to do very good here because I haven't brought the poles. So hang fire. Take two. Let's set it up and see how we get on. So I'm going to set the footprint out first. Whoops. Set it up inside out and then clip the inside in. Got to try and sort of imagine if I was on really out on the trail in this weather, what it would be like. I'll probably have to find a rock or something to put my bag in. Relocating it there for the camera because obviously I just drifted offset a little bit. That's how windy it is. The tripod just flew over. Hang on. At this rate, I might have to use one of the guy lines for the tripod. Right, there we go. I'll just push it into the ground a little bit there. Right, got everything. There we go. Right, first time ever doing this as well. I'm going to collect my pole system first. By the way, today I'm wearing the North Face Pack Light Gore-Tex jacket. Starting to wish I'd put the pants on. So there we have it, I've got my pole in. This is going to be interesting. Don't worry folks, I'm back. I obviously hadn't realised that the tripod blew over again. Right, so I've got the fly on partially. I'm going to get some guy lines in. That's better. I've just dropped the tripod into the mud a little bit just to give it a bit more stability. So there we have it set up. I'm just going to cut for a second. So guys, there she is set up. That's just the fly. We've got some quite serious gusts going on here at the minute. I would say probably about 30 kilometers an hour in the region of that. You can see I've got all of the guy lines set out there. And now she's staked down. It's coping quite well, to be honest. I haven't put the inner in yet. I haven't opened the vent on this side either. So there's the back vent, which is supported out with the little stay under there now. And I've put the stay underneath that vent as well, but obviously this end is to the windward end of the tent. Just give you a little look there. You know, you could, if you wanted, put another cord on there to just pull that out. It's another possibility. I've actually also just realised, in the heat of the moment and the wind and everything blowing around, that I should have really had the door at the other end. But that is something that one should consider before putting the rain fly on. It was so windy with it blowing around, it was a bit disorientated, but really with the wind coming from that direction, I should have had the door at that end. But nevertheless, let's get in and just see how the gutter is performing. It's got a gutter that runs down the side there. Let's go in and just see how the tent's coping in the wind and the rain. Is there any water coming in? So I'm inside the tent now. Floor's all wet, obviously, from setting up on the wet grass. Now, if I wanted to, I could put the inner inside of this now and clip it in, but I'm not sure there's any point for this particular test. You can probably see here that the pole on the inside is resting snugly against that bit of reinforcing there. There's no movement there. The fly is sitting very nicely on the poles. And setting this tent up, it's all down to adjusting the webbing as it attaches to the bottom of the pole there. You can see this side nice and symmetrical, as is the other end. So I'll just sit here and see how the tent copes with these gusts. I watched another YouTube of a big Agnes copper spur in gusty conditions, and they had to use their trekking poles to triangulate the guy lines out, and it virtually collapsed. So that's one reason why I wanted to do a test on the Hubba Hubba today in the wind, just to see what was going to happen. So it's gusting outside now, about a good 25 to 30 kilometre an hour. It's forecast for 47 kilometre gusts today. I'm a little bit sheltered here where I am in the garden, but I'm at the more exposed end of the house. You can probably see that this area of the tent is sustaining the conditions really well. The top support pole's doing exactly what it's intended to do. It's supporting across the top of the tent there. It flexes a little bit with the gusts and then just resumes itself to normal shape, which is exactly what it was designed to do. So this is first time I've ever set this thing up with just the footprint and the fly sheet on, and I don't think I've done too bad, to be honest, in the conditions. It's gusting quite bad now, and it's actually lifting the poles off the corners when I'm looking down there in the gusts, but it's not moving. No. Obviously I've got the wind at the end of the tent. I'm not sure if it would make any difference if it was 90 degrees to where it is now or not. We should maybe try it, see what happens, because effectively with this being a freestanding tent, I could pull the corner pegs out, take the guys off, turn it round 90 degrees. Hopefully it won't take off. Shall we try? Is that a yes? Okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Well guys, I decided to go in the house and get the Vortex pants on now, because it's getting even wetter. Wetter than an otter's pocket. I'm going to now try turning the tent just to see what effect that has on the structure. This is not easy without a cameraman, I'll tell you. Right, so my idea is I'm going to leave some pegs in to see if I can just rotate it on one peg, because I don't want it to disappear over the hedge. So here we go. really wanted to take off. I've got to be quick and do this in between the gusts. There that the tent probably will fly. So there we go, we have it completely 90 degrees to the wind from where it was before now. Let's have a look at it. So there we have it, we've got the wind coming in the direction of the door now. I've actually lost a peg when I was turning it round. I think it's probably underneath the footprint, so I haven't got a peg in one corner. We've still got gusts, I would say, in excess of 30 kilometers an hour here. It's still chucking it down. And that's what we end up with, further to rotating at 90 degrees. There we go. And you can probably see that the effect that has had, it is definitely less stable than having the wind in the direction of the end, obviously, because there's more surface area for the wind to press upon. Right, so I'm back inside now, and I just thought let's have a look and just see how is the inside of the tent holding up, how is the frame holding up in these conditions. So I'll just pan the camera around and let you see what the effect is of having the tent orientated at 90 degrees to where it was before. So here we are back inside. The tent structure is still consistent to what it was before. It's in good proximity to the poles. There hasn't been any significant movement there. Let's have a look at this cross pole at the top. That's holding nicely. It's in its little clip and it's on the reinforced area of the rainfly. And we've got the same on that side, so that's holding up really well. At the other end of the tent, let's have a little look. Oh, the tent is looking good. The other end is looking really good as well. The footprint slid up there when I lifted up to move it around. But all in all, it's holding really well. So the only difference in rotating the tent is the fact that now we've got wind on the lateral side. There is a little bit of pressure on this side, which is causing the top pole to flex down a little bit as the winds are gusting. But to be honest, it's nothing really that you couldn't live with overnight if the conditions were bad. I haven't got the inner inside the tent now, but you could imagine if the inner was clipped onto the end of that pole, it would be bellying down a little bit. So yeah, it's holding up really good. And you can see all the water on the outside of the rainfly there. There's no leaks whatsoever. Here we are in the gusts. It's gusting quite a bit out there now, to be honest. Probably more than it was with the tent in the other direction. And it's holding up really good. I'll just go outside now so you can see what it's doing. Another little hack you can do is, if you set your tent up and the direction of the wind has changed and you end up with the wind on the lateral face of the tent, is to just utilise a walking pole. Look, I've put that pole in there and that creates what's called triangulation. So rather than the guy line pulling down towards the top of that cross pole, it's now going out, and you can probably see now that we've got wind gusts again, and the cross pole hasn't got the flexion what it had before. Let me just go inside now and just show you the effects of using that trekking pole. So here I am inside the tent, and we've got more or less the same wind gusts outside now, but you can see that using that little hack of the trekking pole just stops that cross pole dipping so much in the wind and gives it a little bit of additional support. I guess if you had two trekking poles, you could possibly stand one up inside the tent as well. You know, if you had the wind on one side like this, just to stop that cross pole dipping. But it's all really down to the direction of the wind, because really the wind should be on the end of the tent where there's less area for the forces to be compressing the top pole down in that manner. And as a matter of fact, rather than hypothesizing what the pole on the inside would actually do in this orientation, we can actually put it in place, as I have done. And to be honest, that does add quite a bit of rigidity to the side of the tent where you've got lateral wind forces should the wind change direction. You know, in this situation, let's say it's the middle of the night and the wind comes round and you've got that flexion of the top pole forcing it down. That is actually something which you could utilise from the inside of the tent, from your sleeping bag, for example. Here we've got some gusts coming now. Let's see what happens. it actually seems perfectly happy there. Of course, there's nothing securing the pole at the top, so it's something you would just have to pay attention to. Obviously, it goes without saying, don't put the pointy end at the top, because otherwise it will go straight through the fly. So guys, there you have it. That's my review of the MSR Hubba in somewhat stormy conditions here in Mallorca. As I've said throughout the video, we've had rain today, we've had winds gusting 47 kilometers an hour, and throughout this test I would say the winds have been certainly at least 30 kilometers an hour constant. We've had the tent set up with the orientation towards the wind. We've had it at 90 degrees, and to be honest, the tent has not faltered. There has been no collapse, there has been no indications of material failure whatsoever. This is a fantastic tent, and in comparison with some tents that might be 100 or 150 grams lighter, this tent is worth the extra weight, trust me. Guys, thanks for watching. If you like my videos, click and subscribe. Apologies about all the crappy editing, but that's the way it is. Take care.